Hey guys, today we're going to do a set of teacher coasters. So I'm going to try to do start to finish with you guys. There will be cuts due to it having to cure and time. So starting, we have 3 teacher coasters. You only need not even an ounce in the bottom for the back of each of your coaster. Let's see, pouring some of this. I have 3 different colors, so I'm pouring 3 different cups. So you only want an ounce because it depends on what you put in there. If you put in the same things I do, you're going to want about an ounce, not even, due to the erasers being so tall and taking up a lot of space. So you really don't need too terribly much. We want space for everything else in there. Okay, so I'm actually going to do this one first. All right, so we have pink. I do add a little more mica powder than you would normally use for this amount of resin because I want my background to be a deep color. I am using the brand Craft Resin as well. So a nice, gorgeous pink. I love this pink. Okay, I'm gonna put this one away. Try to put everything away as I go so I don't overwhelm myself later. And then she wanted a blush, a pink or magenta. So I found this color that's kind of like a cross between both of them. Give that a mix. I'm just making sure all of my mica powder is perfectly stirred in. All right, get this one over here. Did I shut that all the way? No, I didn't. There we go. And then a red. I have main colors I use for my teacher coasters, but I've been getting a lot of requests for other colors, so I take them. It's fine. You can pretty much use any kind of color. I use mica powder because I like that it is a shiny look to it, and you can't quite see through it. Alcohol inks are transparent, obviously, and you could use a pigment paste to color it, but that's a very opaque color, and that's just not the look I'm going for. So we've got actually a really nice 3 colors here. I really like these. These would actually look awesome together in something else. I may have to leave that out for later. Okay, move these out of the way. Okay. I always spritz with isopropyl alcohol, 91% or higher. I'm ready to get right into it. Got red. None will be wasted here. With red, we have magenta / pinkish. Get out every little bit that I can. And give it a little tiny squirt. There was some in the middle that wasn't completely covered. I like to make sure it's all covered. And our blush pink, because holy crap, that is gorgeous. I absolutely love these colors together. I definitely need to make something with these. Okay, let's get this in here. Okay, we've got red, magenta, blush pink. Give it another spritz. and we will see you in 12 to 24 hours. Hey guys, back the next day. I come in about 24 hours later, but I would say at least 12 would be minimum. So I just spritzed with isopropyl alcohol, and I'm going to put a very thin layer of clear in here. You're going to see it's not even going to completely coat the entire thing when I first drop it in. That is because this is going to be the layer where I put my items in. I want it to be a very thin layer so that nothing moves around on me and nothing melts. So let's give this about 10 to 15 minutes, and we give it this time frame so that the resin stops moving and pulling towards the center. So when you put your items in, everything isn't constantly moving on you. You'll see they're going to stay exactly where I put them. So I'm just going to put in all of my pieces. I do figure out what I want to go in these before I pour. That way I'm not doing it last minute and my resin's overheating. This also ensures that your crayon doesn't melt because you're putting in such a small amount of resin. That eraser is the one I mentioned that is taller than the rest of the items. So I always put it, that's why I always put in the lesser of the background color. Like I said, not even an ounce, maybe an ounce at most. And the next clear layer, as I just did here, isn't even an ounce. You do want to ensure that none of the items are touching the edge, or else you will be able to feel it on the cured piece. It's very strange, but that's how it works. I also use 4-inch golf pencils that I find on Amazon that I do have to sharpen a little bit to get them slightly smaller, but not too much. I'm a little crazy when I put my items in here. Like I said, I don't want them to touch the edge, so I'm just making sure they're not touching the edge. And I like all of my items to not be the same color. That's a me thing. I do make some that are the same color, and they are gorgeous, but I need them, when they're like this, to be separate colors. The next step is sprinkles. I get these right from the baking aisle at your local grocery store. I have no issues with them being in the resin. So these are what I add. Gives it a little pop of color throughout. I really enjoy that. Once all of our sprinkles in here, I'm going to let it sit again for another 12 to 24 hours. Again, I always do 24 hours because I go into my room every night. I don't have time during the day. All right, see you in 24 hours. This is 24 hours have passed. Everything is hardened, as you can see. I don't know why I'm touching it, but I'm going to show you that it's hardened. I do also do TikTok lives, so I'm probably just telling people about what I'm doing because everybody asks questions. The next layer that we're going to do is going to be a layer that just covers everything except for the eraser. The eraser is going to stick out, but everything else will be covered, and you want to cover it just so it's barely covering everything, because otherwise your crayons are going to melt. We don't want melting crayons. So I'm going to spritz it with alcohol. This is 91% or higher. It's going to help pop and prevent bubbles. I've already got my clear resin mixed up. And now I'm going to pour slowly to prevent bubbles and to go into the openings of the eraser and the binder clip, because that will push out any air bubbles. So very slowly. It may seem daunting, but it works. So now I'm just covering my pencil and my crayon, making sure those are absolutely covered ever so slightly. That one's good. We'll go on to our next one. All right, when we're done pouring, I am going to go in with my isopropyl alcohol and spritz the top. You don't want to over spritz because that is a thing. If you over spritz, you will get alcohol marks and streaks in your cured piece. So you just have to be aware of how often and how much you're spraying. I like to spray just afterwards because as the bubbles rise, they are going to rise and pop. I did see here in my clip, there's a bubble trying to come out. You can kind of see it on the edge right where I'm about to poke it. Long story short, I wasn't able to get the bubble. It went in there and it cured inside. Thankfully, it didn't end up coming out, so I got really lucky. But I did try to work at it for a minute, and that's what you do. If you see a bubble like that, I try to grab a toothpick and just work it out because then it will rise and pop. And I just couldn't get the toothpick in there with the angle. So I had to work at it for another second just to make sure. Quickly realized it wasn't going to happen. So now we're done with that. But that's what you would do if you see a bubble somewhere. You can kind of just lift and scrape up a little bit. So you don't want to put any holes into your wax crayon. So just be gentle of that. All right, I gave it another spritz because I saw more bubbles. And now I'll probably let them sit for a while and just keep an eye on them. This is the point where you really want to keep an eye on these because you covered your wooden pencils. The wood throws off a lot of bubbles. So keep an eye on them, babysit them for a while. Next day, 24 hours later, this step I usually do wait a full 24 hours because I go in with my vinyl names to put on here. And I do press pretty hard sometimes, so I don't want to indent my resin at all. My vinyl names, I use my Cricut Joy, and I print on Smart Vinyl Permanent. It's a thicker vinyl, and it just cuts very accurately for smaller letters and shapes. So I prefer it. And it transfers really nicely over to the resin. It doesn't give you too much of a hard time. Every now and then you do get some that are stubborn. But overall, I just press it down. I'm pressing pretty firmly. You don't have to press for long. And then you just pull up your transfer tape and you want to do it. See that right there, my L didn't get pressed on all the way. I didn't press firmly enough there. Just kind of scratch a little bit with your nail. Again, that's why I wait 24 hours. And you want to put it down and away from you because at that angle, it actually helps the letters not rise up. So we'll do the rest here. Every now and then you see I get something stuck, so I try to just stick it to the transfer paper. And if it doesn't work, I'll grab my little squeegee and put it on my table and do it that way as well. Put Mrs. Bortel on here. You can already see them coming together. They look amazing. I absolutely love these. They are so cute. I don't know what I'm doing here. Just tapping away. Try to pull this off. Let's see how it goes. That one did really well. All right, let's get our last one. All right, now that we have all of our names on here, it is time to go ahead and go right in and pour the top and final layer. This is layer 4, if you've been counting. So I've mixed up some more resin. I'm going to spritz with some isopropyl alcohol, and then I'm going to pour it right on top. I still pour slowly because, again, I just want to prevent any extra bubbles. And I pour it so it ever so slightly domes. Not by much, just a little bit. I just like the look it gives it. Now, if you've noticed, I like to spritz isopropyl alcohol instead of using heat. That is a preference. I just prefer the alcohol. So, doing that, you have to be very careful that when you spritz alcohol at this point, you don't over spritz, or you are going to add extra liquid to the top and it can run over. So just be cognizant of that. We will now wait 24 hours before we demold, and here we go. Look at this. I love these. I absolutely love these. They are gorgeous. I will take a deburring tool. I can add that in another video at some point with something else, but I do take a deburring tool around the edge to get rid of any sharp edges. I hope that was helpful for you all. Let me know if you have any questions.